psychologists. She has counseled and trained thousands of professional people on success principles. Her presentations are so effective that she is repeatedly retained by such organizations as Walt Disney, AT&T, Xerox, IBM, Federal Express, 3M, and Bell Canada, plus literally hundreds of government agencies and scores of convention and associations meetings. Lee is a well-known best-selling audio and video tape author whose products are endorsed by Nightingale Conant, Cybervision, and Career Track. She is the author of a new book, Feel and Grow Rich, and the co-author of the book, Reach Your Career Dreams, and is a business columnist for several magazines. Lee has shared the platform with many other well-known personalities, such as Zig Ziglar, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Brian Tracy, Og Mandino, Ted Koppel, Lynn Redgrave, Marlo Thomas, Gloria Steinem, and Connie Chung. Lee's high-energy, entertaining message is peppered with humor, practical strategies, a wealth of experience, a winning attitude, and the wisdom of someone who has been there. She requests that you open up your mind to new ideas and new resources to live your life to the fullest. Let's join Lee now in a live presentation.
Today is called Success is an Inside Job, and this is about retooling ourselves, reinventing ourselves, because all success must be created internally before it can be seen externally. And most of the time what we're seeing in the media is everything from the external part of ourselves is being powerful. But what I want to do is share with you today a process of creation, of creating from the internal part of ourselves. And one of the aspects that I think is very important that we create in ourselves is a sense of humor. Because the more we laugh in life, the more we feel better, the more creative we are, the more we can scan the landscape of our life and see the different opportunities around us. The more we laugh in our life, this thing in our body is produced called endorphins, and endorphins are natural painkillers. And let's face it, on an average day, you need as many natural painkillers as you can get. So it's important that we look for humor in our life. And being adults, how many of you have let an old person move into your body? How many of you have become, too old in your thinking, too serious all the time? And one of the great things about retooling yourself and reinventing yourself is that you really have to look for humor. You have to be excited about life. You have to truly know that there's a lot of humor out there if you just look for it. I travel about 100 cities a year, and I realized recently that I was taking myself way too seriously. I have a little dog who's the love of my life, and his name is Murphy. And Murphy is a 13-pound miniature poodle. And one of his big treats in life is to ride in the car with me. And I just came home from a trip, and I had a lot of things to do. Had to go pick up some printing and go to the post office and do all the things everybody has to do. And I put him in the car, and I just picked up this printing, and I didn't want him jumping all over it. So when I got to the post office, I put him in the back seat, and I closed the door, and I'm walking away from the car, and I'm saying to Murphy, "Stay, be good, don't you move, I'll be right back." Living in Virginia Beach, there's some very nice southern gentlemen here. This very nice man opened the door, and as I was walking through, he said to me, "Lady, I usually just put my car in park." Now, on an average day, you have 1,440 minutes to laugh at yourself, and the more that you laugh at yourself, the more fun that you're going to have. By the way, how many of you are parents in the room? Raise your hand. How many of you have noticed that your kids don't do what you tell them to do? Have you noticed they emulate you? If you're a person who seeks out humor and laughs at life and feels good about yourself, that's what your kids will do. If you're a person who reads, your kids will read. If you're a person who looks for the positive, your kids will do that. Success is an inside job. The greatest gift that you can give your children is the person of the integrity that you have with yourself, to look for the good in life, to have fun. Find the zest in life. Find those things that make life worth living. Do everything that you can do on a regular basis that makes you inside feel good. Because if you've noticed, when you feel good inside, you can give so much more to other people. You can be giving, and you can be caring, and you have empathy, and you have sympathy, and you can do those things because you're not wasting your mental, physical, emotional, or physical life energy beating yourself up. I think it's also important that you not take yourself so seriously with expectations. I just got back from Las Vegas. I went out to the television convention. I do a lot of television work, and I was very interested in learning about the back end of television. And this is the convention where all of the buyers go buy the TV shows. And I went to the Rosie McDonald show, and it was a great show, and I was lucky enough at midnight to be invited backstage to her premiere. And we'd been in the seminars all day and sitting around and learning, and I was very tired, and it's midnight in Las Vegas, so that means it's 3 a.m. here in Virginia Beach, so I'm pretty punchy. And I went and got some food, and this place had about 400 of the best-looking people I've ever seen in my life. And let's face it, to see a whole lot of good-looking men in one place is kind of unusual. I was kind of in heaven. I mean, this was like, I've never seen so many attractive men in my life. And I found a seat, and there was only a few chairs in the room, and I'm sitting down, and across the room I see one of the best-looking men I personally have ever seen in my life. And the second I looked at him, he looked at me, and we locked eyes. And after we locked eyes, he stood up and started coming towards me. By that time, the band was playing, and I was pretty sure this guy was going to ask me to dance. And so I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to say. He walks over to me, and he says, "Are you going to dance?" Which I took to meant that I want to dance with him. And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Good. Can I have your chair?" You have to laugh at life, because the more you laugh at life, the better you feel about yourself. So one of the things I was really glad was that nobody else was listening to that. And it's like, now another thing that I think is very important in life is that you realize that the more fun that you have, the more open you are to learn different things. And it's very important as we love ourselves and nurture ourselves through success is an inside job, that we really listen to other people. At the same convention, I'm sitting next to a television executive that I have known for a long time. I actually know his wife a lot better than him. And in just conversation, I said, "How long have you been married?" And he said, 32 years. I said, "Well, how did you do that?" And he says, "You know, I have in 32 years fallen in love with my wife 4 times. He said, "I fell in love with her as a college student." And he said, "That was just great." And he said, "Then we got married, and I fell in love with this young college girl who transformed herself into my wife and a school teacher." And he said, "Then we had children." And he said, "Then I fell in love with her all over again. I fell in love with coming home at night and the kids making lots of noise and the house smelling real good." And he said, "Then the kids grew up, and I fell in love with my wife again as a professional businesswoman. She went into real estate, and she became a real estate manager." And he says, "I'm looking forward to falling in love with her the 5th time when we retire and get to travel and have fun." I was so impressed with this man, because I thought to myself, what an interesting thing, the fact that this whole presentation I wanted to give today was about reinventing yourself. Because he said the secret of his marriage was going within, appreciating the current, and falling in love with it. And that's what I want you to start doing today with your life, with your jobs, with your children, with your spouses, with living in the area that we live in, is to look at the benefits that you see and to fall in love again. How many times have you heard about relationships that people say, "Well, you know, they're not the person I married"? Well, how could they ever be the person that you married if you're married to them over 10 minutes? Because that's all we do is change in life. But we forget that life is about change and growth and excitement and having fun and looking for the good. And see, what you focus on expands. And what we focus in many times is the things that we don't like, and it pollutes our marriages, it pollutes our life, it pollutes our desire for our career, it pollutes our desire to really enjoy that 1,440 minutes of every day. So my homework assignment to you is to embrace where you are, to love who you are, to truly realize that all success has to be created inside, that this is where our power is. And when you grasp your power in life and realize that you don't have any power to control any outside circumstances, but you have the power to decide how you want to perceive things. And perception is a very interesting thing. When I was growing up, my grandmother was named Maddie. Now, I have to tell you, as a child, I thought that was the most hideous name on the face of the earth. Maddie, M-A-T-T-I-E. Now, today, Maddie is a cool name. They've got a show called Mike and Maddie. The Sybil Shepherd on Moonlighting was named Maddie. A friend of mine just named her dog Maddie, so you know it's a cool name now. And one of the things that was found out about the new children's name, little girls' names being born, Maddie is a big name. It's the same name. I just have a new perception on it. And so what I'm asking you to do in life is to look at some of the perceptions you've taken about yourself. You know, we've made all these opinions about who we are and our talents and our abilities and our skills and our marriages and our friends and our careers. But what we have to start doing is really constantly updating those perceptions so that they benefit us, so they really work in our direction. Most of us are not our own best friends. We have perceptions of ourselves that put ourselves down. We beat ourselves up on a regular basis. I recently realized that it's impossible to become successful in life without making peace with who you have been, the many aspects of who you have been in your life. I started doing this visualization process where visualization is using your imagination. I've started going back in my life and appreciating and honoring the person I used to be for the wisdom, intellect, experience that I have now. Because I realize in the future, no matter what mistakes that I'm making today, no matter what hardships that I have today, that someday in the future I will appreciate who I am now for having the courage and the wisdom and the integrity to live through what I live through now, to appreciate who I am now. So the visualization process is, I started going back, to being like a little kid. And I said to I saw myself as this little kid in my mind, and I said, thank you for those lessons and those hardships. Thank you for being courageous. Thank you for making those mistakes so I have the wisdom today. And then I saw myself as like a teenager and did the same thing. Then I saw myself in my first marriage. That's a joke, folks. And, I saw myself in all the different aspects of my life. And what that's given to me is most of us look back in our life and we beat ourselves up for mistakes that we made 10, 15 years ago. It's like, oh, if I'd only done this, if I only bought this real estate, or if I only had married this person or hadn't married this person, or if I'd only taken this job. Wherever you are today, I want you to honor the choices that you made. Oprah Winfrey, who is a big hero of mine, said something not too long ago I appreciate. She said, I love everything that has ever happened to me, all the good and all the bad. It has made me the woman I am today. And 67 million this year, I think she's done pretty good. So when you think about that is what inspired me to go back and to appreciate the little girl. I just met John Bradshaw, who writes a number of books on, the inner child. And I realized that most of us who spend so much of our life beating ourselves up about things that didn't go right. But when you think about all that experience, that internal experience, all that knowledge that you have today and how that is going to help you in the future, deal with the change, deal with the reality that you'll have to deal with, you've really got to appreciate and love that person a great deal. I think that it's very important that you realize that you're not a single identity, that you have many identities. I just read Gail Sheely's new book. It's called New Passages. And she said in the space of one short generation, the whole shape of life cycle has been fundamentally altered. Age norms have shifted. For example, 40 today is what 30 used to be 10 years ago. Yes! There's a revolution in the adult life cycle. She said people today are leaving childhood sooner, and I'm sure you've noticed that. These 10-year-olds look like they're, 18. They're taking longer to grow up. None of us want to grow up. And we're taking longer to die. She said life has radically changed, and it's now opening us to a new passages